Chapter 5 of the Defiant Agents. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by R.J. Davis. The Defiant Agents by Andre Norton. Chapter 5. There was one horse, unshod but ridden. It came here from the plains, and it had been ridden hard, going lame. There was a rest here, maybe shortly after dawn. Travis sorted out what they had learned by a careful examination of the ground. Nalik'ideyu and Najinta, Taisha, watched and listened as if the coyotes as well as the boy could understand every word. There is that also. Taisha indicated the one trace left by the unknown rider, an impression blurred as if some attempt had been made to conceal it. Small and light. The rider is both, also in fear, I think. "We follow?" Taisha asked. "We follow," Travis assented. He looked to the coyotes and, as he had learned to do, thought out his message. This trail was the one to be followed. When the rider was sighted, they were to report back if the Apaches had not yet caught up. There was no visible agreement. The coyotes simply vanished through the wall of grass. "Then there are others here?" Taisha said as he and Travis began their return to the foothills. "Perhaps there was a second ship." "That horse," Travis said, shaking his head. "There was no provision in the project for the shipping of horses." "Perhaps they have always been here." "Not so. To each world its own species of beast. But we shall know the truth when we look upon that horse and its rider." It was warmer this side of the mountains, and the heat of the plains beat at them. Travis thought that the horse might well be seeking water if allowed his head. Where did he come from? And why had his rider gone in haste and fear? This was rough, broken country, and the tired, limping horse seemed to have picked the easiest way through it, without any hindrance from the man with him. Travis spotted a soft patch of ground with a deep-set impression. This time there had been no attempt at erasure. The boot track was plain. The rider had dismounted and was leading the horse, yet he was moving swiftly. They followed the tracks around the bend of a shallow cut and found Nalik'ideyu waiting for them. Between her forefeet was a bundle still covered with smears of soft earth, and behind her were drag marks from a hole under the overhang of a bush. The coyote had plainly just disinterred her find. Travis squatted down to examine it, using his eyes before his hands. It was a bag made of hide, probably the hide of one of the split horns by its color and the scraps of long hair which had been left in a simple decorative fringe along the bottom. The sides had been laced together neatly by someone used to working in leather. The closing flap lashed down tightly with braided thong loops. As the Apache leaned closer to it, he could smell a mixture of odors. The hide itself, horse, wood smoke, and other scents strange to him. He undid the fastenings and pulled out the contents. There was a shirt with long full sleeves of a gray wool undyed from the sheep. Then a very bulky short jacket, which after fingering it doubtfully, Travis decided was made of felt. It was elaborately decorated with highly colorful embroidery, and there was no mistaking the design. A heavy antlered Terran deer in mortal combat with what might be a puma. It was bordered with a geometric pattern of beautiful, oddly familiar work. Travis smoothed it flat over his knee and tried to remember where he had seen its like before. A book? An illustration in a book. But which book? When? Not recently, and it was not a pattern known to his own people. Twisted into the interior of the jacket was a silk-like scarf, clear, light blue, the blue of Terra's cloudless skies on certain days. So different from the yellow shield now hanging above them. A small case of leather, with silhouetted designs cut from hide and affixed to it. designs as intricate and complex as the embroidery on the jacket, art of a high standard. In the case, a knife and spoon, the bowl and blade of dull metal, the handles of horn carved with horse's head, the tiny wide open eyes set with glittering stones. Personal possessions dear to the owner, so that when they must be abandoned for flight, they were hidden with some hope of recovery. Travis slowly repacked them, trying to fold the garments into their original creases. He was still puzzled by those designs. Who? Tsoay touched the edge of the jacket with one finger, his admiration for it plain to read. I don't know, but it is of our own world. That is a deer, though the horns are wrong, Tsoay agreed. And the puma is very well done. The one who made this knows animals well. Travis pushed the jacket back into the bag and laced it shut, but he did not return it to the hiding place. Instead, he made it a part of his own pack. If they did not succeed in running down the fugitive, he wanted an opportunity for closer study, a chance to remember just where he had seen that picture before. The narrow valley where they had discovered the bag sloped upward, and there were signs that their quarry found the ground harder to cover. The second discard lay in open sight. Again a leather bag which Nalik'ideyu sniffed and then began to lick eagerly, thrusting her nose into its flake-rich interior. Travis picked it up, finding it damp to the touch. It had an odd smell, like that of sour milk. He ran a finger around inside, brought it out wet. Yet this was neither water bag nor canteen, and he was completely mystified when he turned it inside out, for though the inner surface was wet, the bag was empty. He offered it to the coyote and she took it promptly. Holding it firmly to the earth with her forepaws, she licked the surface, though Travis could see no deposit which might attract her. It was clear that the bag had once held some sort of food. Here they rested, Tsoay said. Not too far ahead now. But now they were in the kind of country where a man could hide in order to check on his back trail. Travis studied the terrain and then made his own plans. They would leave the plainly marked trace of the fugitive, strike out upslope to the east, and try to parallel the other's route. In that maze of rock outcrops and wood copses, there was tricky going. Nalik'ideyu gave a last lick to the bag as Travis signaled her. She regarded him, then turned her head to survey the country before them. At last she trotted on, her buff coat melting into the vegetation. With Naginta, she would scout the quarry and keep watch, leaving the men to take the longer way around. Travis pulled off his shirt, folding it into a packet and tucking it beneath the folds of his sash belt, just as his ancestors had always done before a fight. Then he cast his packs and Tsoay's. As they began the stiff climb, they carried only their bows, the quivers slung on their shoulders, and the long-bladed knives. But they flitted like shadows, and like the coyotes, their red-brown bodies became indistinguishable against the bronze of the land. They should be, Travis judged, not more than an hour away from sundown, and they had to locate the stranger before the dark closed in. His respect for their quarry had grown. The unknown might have been driven by fear, but he held a good pace and headed intellectually for just the kind of country which would serve him best. If Travis could only remember where he had seen the like of that embroidery, it had a meaning which might be important now. Tsoay slipped behind a wind-gnarled tree and disappeared. Travis stooped under a line of bush limbs. Both were working their way south, using the peak ahead as an agreed landmark, pausing at intervals to examine the landscape for any hint of a man and horse. Travis squirmed snake fashion into an opening between two rock pillars and lay there, the westering sky hot on his bare shoulders and back, his chin propped on his forearm. In the band holding back his hair, he had inserted some concealing tufts of wiry mountain grass, the ends of which drooped over his rugged features. Only seconds earlier he had caught that